So this is 5 grading exercise. So 5 grading exercise. What is our input? And what's the data type of a grade? It's float. So we have grade. We need to use typecasting, float. When we read, input, enter your grade. Then what's next? We need to check the grade is valid. That means it's between 0 and 100 inclusive. And we need to exit the program if the grade is invalid. In order to exit, we need to add that statement, that exit library, basically, from sys. So we just say from sys import exit. Now we can use exit in our code. So we do that check first. If grade less than 0 or grade greater than 100, then print incorrect grade and exit. And don't forget to include the opening and closing parentheses. It's a function exit. I'll explain function in the coming lessons. Okay? So we don't need to add an else in here, because if grade is invalid, the program exits and it never executes the rest of the code. The rest of the code will only be executed if grade is valid. That means this condition becomes false. Now we can go ahead and implement this basically table. So if we can either start from top to bottom or the other way. Let's go from top to bottom. If grade is greater than 75 and grade less than equal 100. That's basically the top one, between 75 or 100. And we can make a decision whether both of them are inclusive or not. Let's say, yes, let's say all these numbers are inclusive. So 75 inclusive, 100 inclusive, then the grade is basically A. That means we need to change this to greater than equal to 100. Then print A. Else, nested if, the second one. So if grade is not greater than 75 to 100, then it's greater than 60. If grade greater than equal 60. So when we get here, this condition becomes false. It can't be more than 100 because the program would exit in here. So that means the grade is less than 75 exclusive. Once this becomes false, then we get into here. Then print B. Else, don't forget that else belongs to this if. Another if, grade greater than equal 45. And print C. Else, if grade greater than 40, greater than equal 40, print D, and we don't need to add another else in here for the last one. If this condition becomes false, automatically it means grade is between 0 and 40 exclusive. So we don't need to add another if here because it's implied already. Print A. That's become the code. Let's test it. So let's enter an invalid data first, something that engages this piece of code. For example, let's say I've entered -1. Okay, typo. So it's great. Sorry, great, 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 and so on. Now, okay, -1, incorrect grade, and this is just a warning. Just it's not an error. That happens when the system exits, and we basically don't capture that exit event happening. So just ignore it. It's a warning. It's not an error. When you run exit by default, you should see some output like this. Now let's enter something above 100. 101, for example. Same thing. The system exits. So we know that if the user enters anything less than 0 or greater than 100, the program exits. Okay? Now we can test this, and we want to provide values for grade that basically executes all these print statements one by one. So we need to provide 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different values to completely test this if block. So 100 first. So 100 should print A. Correct, A. Again, execute again. 60 should print B. And correct. 45 should print C. Correct. 40 should print D. And anything less than 40, like 39, should print A. So the code is correct. Let me zoom out so you can see the complete code. And again, you can do it with elif as well, exactly the same way that we implemented the previous exercise. So I did it using nested if and else because it's a little bit more complicated, but more useful in other programming languages.